Hello and good evening. Today is the 30th of August 2021. Tomorrow is going to be the last day of the evacuation of American and other NATO troops from Afghanistan. It all began on the 15th of August when the Taliban took over Kabul, and after that, it was chaos and mayhem as the Americans and their allies began a huge aerial exodus of not only their own troops but also of the Afghans who had collaborated with them and wanted to leave Afghanistan. This ongoing aerial operation is arguably the largest aerial exodus of modern times. But then on the 28th of August, there were massive suicide bombings on the Kabul airport. This was waiting to happen because so many people had congregated over there. The Afghans wanted to leave. There were big C-17 aircraft that were flying them out of Afghanistan to destinations in Europe and the US and Britain as well. And the only commercial flights which were flying from Kabul out of Kabul were those of Pakistan International Airlines, and the EU and ADB. The banks have international banks had also Pakistan to help them out. Those flights are suspended at the moment, but the military planes are still leaving Afghanistan. After the suicide bombing on Kabul airport, there was retaliation from the American side. They launched a drone strike in Nangarhar, which is the capital of Jalalabad, joining Pakistan, and there was another drone strike in Kabul. The Americans claimed that they have killed two people who were the masterminds of the suicide bombing at the Kabul airport in Nangarhar, and they said the same thing about the drone bombing in Kabul. In Kabul, it is estimated that a number of civilian deaths have occurred, including those of children and women. There are 2 points that are coming to my mind. One, where were these drones operating from? Pakistan had refused to provide them any drone stations. Uh, Nangarhar is opposite Pakistan. Uh, Kabul is also not very far off from Pakistan. Were these drones operating from inside Afghanistan or from some other base in any adjacent country? Some drones have a long endurance time. Some of them have 10 to 12 hours also. That also includes loiter time. But where were these drones coming from? That remains a mystery. Secondly, how did the Americans have such strong intelligence that they could strike at two targets and claim that they have killed the perpetrators of the suicide bombing? I don't, I don't understand that as well, because if they knew, they should have terminated these people much earlier. Why wait for the killings to take place? The main drawback for the Americans was that in the suicide bombing, 13 American servicemen were killed, including a servicewoman as well. So this was a stark moment for Biden. It will hurt his presidency. He's in the first year of his presidency. It reminds me with what happened to Carter's abortive mission to Iran to rescue the embassy hostages in Tehran. It ended in a fiasco. A number of planes were up in flames. The two aircraft crashed on ground, and it was mayhem and fiasco. And this cost Carter his second term. Biden is already an old man. Whether it will cost him his second term or not is still not known. Whether he would live out his first term in office is also can be questionable. He has a younger woman of Asian descent who is next in line. So that notwithstanding, where were the drones coming from and where was the intelligence gathered about these people who were supposed to be behind the drone attacks? So this is my question. If you have the answers, please let me know. Thank you very much for listening to me.